Hello everybody, LeechRanger here and welcome back to the channel. Today we embark on episode 3 of Pokemon Advanced Adventures. This is a big one, so grab a snack and a drink. Alright, that's enough talk. Let's get into Brock vs Colby, a rocky time.
When I was out there all alone, my fire going out in the rain, I could have lost it all right then, but you were there to show me the way. You told me I'd be strong if I could just push through, and so I promise you I'll burn into the sky with all my fire lead through the light. This is what it means to have a flame that never dies. I'll give it everything I got. I'll put it all my trust in you. Ignite the fire living in our hearts. It's what we gotta do.
Brennan and I have arrived in the lively city of Pewter, our eyes glossing over the stone-built streets that glimmer in the afternoon sun. Sounds of chatter and Pokemon cries echo throughout the bustling city, fueling the warm atmosphere. A sense of relief washes over me, and a warm smile plasters my face. An overwhelming sense of pride fills me at just how far Charmander and myself have come. Alongside one another, Brennan and I trek away to the heart of the city. The smell of food and opportunity lingers in the air. Brennan comments that this is what a true journey feels like, to which Riolu beams with happiness. We continue our way throughout the bustling city, smelling food, meeting new Pokemon, and lastly, finding the Pokemon Center. I go up to Nurse Joy, requesting my Pokemon to be healed. Nurse Joy gracefully nods and takes them away. I sigh, already feeling the nerves set in for my big battle with Brock, although I'm still unsure of the gym's location. Brennan comes over, calmly telling me that the tournament is soon. I nod, remembering the sign-up process the previous day. Brennan then states that once we get our Pokemon, we should probably train a bit. Brennan heard rumours a bunch of powerful trainers will be there. He suggests that we should use the gym as a good idea to see where we'll stack up with the competition. I nod and admit I plan to train up my team a bit. I add that I plan to attempt to have Pidgey and Charmander learn some new moves. The building fills with a soft chime echoing off the walls, announcing that our Pokemon are all healed up. We rush over to Nurse Joy, thanking her gratefully. I hold Charmander firmly, both of us nod at each other and leave the center. As we walk throughout the park, my eyes widen and my ears perk up. A familiar voice is heard calling out from across the park. It's Gary! The confident Gary stomps over. The intense bravado reeking from Gary lingers in the air. Gary questions how many badges I have, which I shyly admit I haven't got one yet. My eyes shyly advert Gary's. There's a suffocating silence, only broken by the sudden burst of laughter from Gary. Charmander growls slowly, not taking Gary's mocking too kindly. Gary scoffs, flashing his boulder badge. My eyes widen even further. Brennan smirks, asking what starter Gary has. Gary's eyes slowly narrow, analysing Brennan, as if checking if he's even worthy of speaking to him. Gary shrugs, simply saying that he got Squirtle. Sweat glides down his forehead as the silence becomes uncomfortable. Brennan, unable to stay composed, burst out laughing, telling Gary he shouldn't be flexing a badge as if that he had some sort of challenge when he had the type advantage, and that it's embarrassing how he's flaunting the first gym like it's the League Cup. A large vein visibly boldens from Brennan's factual statement. Gary, annoyed, explains that he won the battle because he's a very powerful trainer, and that he could have beaten Brock with or without the type advantage. Brennan chuckles mockingly. I step forward with a face full of determination. I then challenge Gary to a battle. Gary's eyes widen, caught off guard by my fierce challenge, though the silence doesn't linger as Gary accepts. We both stand across from each other, with Brennan standing aside, posing as the referee for the battle. Brennan states that this is a maximum of one Pokemon each. Both Gary and myself nod firmly. Gary sends out Squirtle, with me sending out Charmander. Brennan announces that the battle has officially begun. Charmander swiftly rushes forward, landing a steady scratch. Squirtle holds its composure and uses a point-blank water gun, pushing Charmander back firmly. Gary chuckles mockingly. His eyes tighten as he calls for a shell smash. Charmander roars in pain. Squirtle buffs its chest boastingly. Slowly, Charmander rises to its feet, clearly damaged. Charmander uses an Ember. Using all of its leftover energy, Squirtle challenges this Ember with a powerful water gun. Both attacks waging against each other, fighting for victory over the other. After a moment of struggle, Ember gives out, the water gun proving too much as it slams through the Ember and straight into Charmander's gut, severely taking the wind out of him. My eyes widen in stunned silence. Gary's laughter is drowned out by the overwhelming concern I have for Charmander. I run over and pick up Charmander, clutching it tightly to my chest. Gary suggests we train some more if we plan to take on the gym, before walking off with a wave of confidence. I sigh and Brennan comes over asking if I'm alright after the battle. I pretend to be fine, saying it's nothing. Both of us head back to the Pokemon Center. While I handle my Pokemon, Brennan handles his own, with some more exploring, temporarily splitting up. Brennan and Riolu continue their exploration by seeing some other stuff around the city, going shopping and even battling some trainers. While strolling through the shopping center, Brennan encounters a pop-up store, a shady looking man who promises to give Brennan a rare Pokemon if he can simply hold Brennan's Riolu. Riolu looks puzzled. Brennan, however, isn't naive. He firmly declines. The dodgy man groans and tells Brennan to get lost or else. Brennan scoffs before walking away confused. He tells Riolu that he didn't have a good feeling about him. Riolu nods thoughtfully. They leave the shopping center, no longer finding enjoyment there. Brennan finally stops walking. He watches a Charmander and Bulbasaur and Squirtle run by. Riolu looks puzzled. Brennan nods to himself, wondering what's up with the city. He shrugs and continues walking. Riolu on his shoulder gazes round. Brennan goes back to the Pokemon Center to check in on me. He arrives and asks how it's going. I turn and say Charmander is still in there. I tell Brennan how I'm worried that Charmander may not be a fit for battling. Brennan chuckles and says of course Charmander is. My face remains firm. I explain that this whole time Charmander has only beaten a Caterpie. Brennan's laughter fades and he sighs. He tells me I need to give Charmander time to heal. I nod, saying that that's the plan for now. Brennan softens. He tells me that he'll be on the outskirts of the city training for the gym. I nod and tell him I'll come find him when Charmander is better. He smiles before turning and leaving the center. He heads to the outskirts of the city, wanting to get some more training in. Whilst Riolu, Magnemite and Pinsir spar, something catches Brennan's attention. He recalls both Magnemite and Pinsir whilst telling Riolu to follow him. Brennan finds himself in a bush, spying on what seems to be a group of Meowth huddled in front of a Persian. Brennan isn't sure what's happening, and Riolu is just short of earshot and is unable to tell what's happening. Brennan's heart is racing. He isn't sure why, but he just has a bad feeling about this Persian. Brennan almost screams out as Charmander and I stand next to him. Brennan scolds us quietly for scaring him. We apologize quietly and ask what's happening. Brennan tells me how he isn't sure. He was simply training when he felt a weird feeling, so he went to investigate. I look confused and tell him he needs to watch more movies, as investigating something scary is never the right move. Brennan sighs and rolls his eyes. We notice this Persian seems quite strong for a wild Pokemon, in a different sense to that of Pinsir. We look at each other and then back to Persian. The Meowth dispersed in what seemingly looks like a group to get food, leaving the Persian alone. Brennan and I smirk at each other, clearly having the same idea. Riolu and Charmander look at each other, clearly knowing what's next. Both of us begin to come up with a plan, as we are both interested in battling this one Persian. But before we get time to properly get an idea, the Meowth surround us. It turns out they weren't leaving to seek food, but Persian was aware of our lurking and was one step ahead. Brennan and I look around, Riolu already prepared to battle, and Charmander jumps down as well, but my confidence is lacking. Riolu handles 3 Meowth, while Charmander battles the other 2. It's clear my lack of confidence in Charmander is causing some unbalance, which directly affects the battle, with Charmander only taking out one of the Meowth before fainting. I grip my teeth, clutching Pidgey's Pokeball, but Riolu swiftly takes out the final Meowth with a quick attack. Brennan questions what happened. Instead of being honest, I cover it up, saying the Meowth simply got a jump on Charmander. But Brennan isn't fully convinced, but doesn't get time to question it as the Persian approaches. Brennan and I feel a cold chill trickle down our spines, causing Brennan to instantly send out Pinsir. Pinsir cries out and locks eyes with the Persian. I send out Pidgey with it chirping softly. Persian instantly strikes with a powerful slash, cutting into Pidgey, sending it reeling back. I manage to catch Pidgey falling from the sky. Pinsir lunges forward. Pinsir's toe-to-toe with Persian's claws, but it doesn't last long. Pinsir faints and Brennan recalls it in shock. Magnemite soon follows, bringing forth a barrage of thunders and momentarily trapping the Persian. Pidgey used Gust, with Magnemite using the Gust to propel a unit of Thunder Waves at Persian. Both of us smirked, thinking we outsmarted them on. But our smirks soon falter as the Persian jumps out the way and uses a back-to-back Giga Impact on both Pidgey and Magnemite, taking them out. We recall our Pokemon and falter. The Persian begins growling and slowly stepping forward. All that's left is a raging Ghastly and a battle-tired Riolu. Worst part, Brennan isn't even fully aware of Ghastly yet. We lock eyes, torn on what to do. Both our fears are cut short, quickly replaced by shock. A striking Do trio burst into the scene, landing a swift double kick to the Persian, kicking it back. Brennan and I are stunned. We turn to see a trainer who introduces himself as Dave. He steps forward and Do trio uses an impressive braid bird, which does intense damage to the Persian, causing it to hiss furiously before limping off in a hurry. Brennan and I look stunned. We can't believe how this Dave guy managed to handle that strong Persian in a singular attack. The guy recalls his Do trio and asks if we are alright. Brennan speaks up first, saying we're fine, just a bit caught off guard. He nods and kindly offers an escort to the Pokemon Center. We thank him and follow. While waiting for our Pokemon to be healed up, I tell Brennan I didn't think we'd be in a Pokemon Center so often. Brennan chuckles, saying it's cause my Charmander isn't an offspring of any powerful lineage. I roll my eyes and tell him my Charmander is just fine how he is. Brennan isn't convinced but doesn't push further. I sit and wait, lost in thought. Brennan is scrolling his Pokédex, whilst Riolu, Pinsir and Magnemite hang out with Pidgey. I sigh and walk over, grabbing Charmander. I ask Brennan to look after Pidgey while I go on a walk alone with Charmander. Brennan nods and says sure. I thank him and leave. I begin walking with Charmander, but I can feel the tension. We walk in silence, neither knowing what to say, despite knowing what each other are thinking. While walking, we freeze as we hear a voice calling out from us from the bushes. We both look over to the bushes, wondering whose voice it was. A man with a red hat and a yellow shirt walks over. He asks if I'm having trouble with my Charmander, and I nod slowly, confused how he knows that. He tells me he can tell by the energy and tension between Charmander and I. He offers to help, and I ask why, and he tells me he owes it to himself to be kind. I give a confused look, before slowly agreeing hesitantly. He nods and asks for a battle. I hesitate, which he notices. He asks why I'm hesitating, in which I get defensive and say I'm not, though it's very unconvincing. We end up battling Charmander versus Geodude. I gulp, knowing the type matchup isn't in my favour. Charmander senses my doubt and begins to doubt itself, which catches the attention of the old man. Geodude uses Tackle, which hits Charmander heavy, stumbling back. Charmander uses an Ember. Geodude rushes at the attack, shocking Charmander and I. Geodude comes through it and slams its fist into Charmander's face, pushing Charmander back. Geodude follows it up with a bunch of punches, taking out Charmander. I look stunned, unable to believe how quickly we lost. The man walks over and recalls his Geodude. He says, I lost the moment I lost faith in Charmander, which was before the battle even really begun. I go to argue, but I stop. I know he's right. He tells me if I want to beat Brock, I simply can't lose hope so quick with my Pokemon, as they will feel the doubt and it will turn into self-doubt. I nod, apologizing to Charmander. The man smiles and walks off. I call out, asking his name. He says his name is Flint. I thank him and he leaves. I look at Charmander, determined more than ever. We walk back to the Pokemon Center, and as we go inside, Brennan looks shocked and confused. He asks what happened. I simply state, eye-opening training, which clearly confuses him more, but he doesn't really pry. I hand Charmander Nurse Joy, and she scolds me and tells me to be more careful as this is too many times in one day. I sigh and apologize. I look at Brennan, and he asks if I'm really ready for the gym. I nod, saying I've got a plan. Brennan smirks and says he thought so. He said he also has a plan of his own. I then ask who will battle Brock first, and Brennan asks if he can, and I think shortly before agreeing, which surprises Brennan. He asks how come I didn't put up a fight for it, and I tell him that I want to see how Brock battles first. Brennan chuckles and says that's not too bad of an idea. I laugh and I tell him that's why I'm doing it. Brennan rolls his eyes, and I get called by Nurse Joy. I walk over and collect Charmander, thanking her. I follow Brennan to Brock's gym, and I sit down while he walks over to Brock. He states he's ready to challenge him, and Brock nods, agreeing, and says it's a 2-on-2 battle. Brennan agrees. Brock then sends out Geodude, with Brennan sending out Pinsir. Pinsir cries out and rushes forward, striking Geodude with a close combat, slamming Geodude into the floor. Brennan praises Pinsir proudly, making Pinsir happy. Geodude manages to get up and uses a rock slide. Massive rocks come flying down from the sky, shocking Brennan and Pinsir. Each rock slams into Pinsir hard, knocking the air out of it. Pinsir staggers but doesn't give in. It rushes forward and uses another close combat, which takes down Geodude for good this time. Brock nods impressed and recalls Geodude thanking him. Onix comes out and roars loudly. Brennan smirks. Pinsir rushes forward, ready to use another close combat, but it doesn't go to plan as Onix's tail slams into Pinsir hard, making Pinsir spiral towards the floor. Slowly, Pinsir stands, though it's severely weakened. Brennan grits his teeth. Onix uses a powerful smackdown which completely takes out Pinsir. Brennan's eyes widen. He sighs and recalls Pensa. Riolu runs forward from Brennan's feet, eager to battle. Riolu wastes no time and uses a quick attack, following it with a swift cross chop. Onyx cries out in pain and staggers. Brennan smirks and demands another cross chop. Onyx is on its last leg and uses a powerful smackdown. Riolu swiftly dodges it. Brennan roars with pride and yells out, calling for a focus blast, directly slamming into Onyx, which makes it cry out before slamming into the floor, unable to battle any further. Brock sighs, recalling Onyx, thanking it politely. Brennan yells out with happiness and rushes over. Riolu is on his shoulder and as Brock comes to him. Brock hands Brennan the border badge, which means Brennan has officially gotten his first badge, making him one step closer to the Pokemon League. The next day, we are back. Brennan asks me if I'm ready and I nod. I say I did some research and also took notes during his battle yesterday. Brennan doesn't fully understand it but doesn't push. I walk over and greet Brock. He warns me that just because Brennan had a decent win doesn't guarantee the same for me. This makes me slightly nervous, but I nod. We get ready. Brennan is in the stands, ready to watch. I watch as Geodude comes out as expected. I go to choose Charmander, but I hesitate. I remember how he won't have the type advantage, and he's also got a bit of a loss streak. So I decide to send out Pidgey. Pidgey chirps softly, while Geodude bobs slowly with a calculated and calm expression. Pidgey uses quick attack, which doesn't do much but lands. Geodude balances herself, scanning around looking for Pidgey, though Pidgey's above and uses Gust. Geodude tanks the strong wind and uses Rock Throw. Pidgey locks eyes with me, and then slowly glides through all the rocks, swiftly dodging all the rocks, causing me to yell out proudly, praising Pidgey's agility, making Pidgey gain healthy confidence. Geodude goes to attack again, but Pidgey uses Gust and flies with it. While being boosted by the Gust, it uses Quick Attack, going even further, slamming into Geodude whilst Gust follows shortly behind, both attacks making Geodude stagger. I smile widely, happy that I'm doing well in a battle, especially a gym battle. Brock smiles for me, happy to see that I'm handling the battle well, as he heard about my losing streak from Nurse Joy. Geodude jumps off the rocks to punch Pidgey, following it with a tough tackle, taking Pidgey to the floor. I get worried and call out, begging Pidgey not to give in. Pidgey, emboldened by my plea, manages to get up. I smile relieved. Brock looks surprised. Geodude rushes forward with a tackle, but Pidgey barely manages to move out the way and slam Geodude into the floor with a swift gust. Pidgey pans, already tired. Geodude gets back up, causing me to grit my teeth. Geodude uses a Rock Throw, but it's interrupted by a Sand Attack, which boosted by Pidgey's yet again Gust. Geodude shakes rapidly, trying to get rid of the sand out its eyes. Pidgey uses this to its advantage and uses a swift, powerful quick attack, finally putting an end to Geodude. I look worried. So much effort just to handle Geodude? The pressure is on, and Pidgey is already struggling to keep going. Onyx slams into the battlefield, its presence demanding, pressing Pidgey's remaining hope. One Rock Throw smashes into Pidgey, taking it out indefinitely. My hope shatters. I recall Pidgey, my mind racing. Ghastly isn't well tamed, and Charmander keeps losing. I'm stuck. Do I choose a Pokemon I've never battled with and last time it was pissed? Or the Pokemon who just can't win a battle? As I go to choose Charmander, a shadow blitzes onto the field. My eyes narrow in confusion. I gasp as I realize it's Bulbasaur, the same one who saved me my very first day as a trainer from a rampant Beedrill. I call out asking what's going on, and it walks over and gets in position, and looks back at me. I ask stunned if it's wanting to battle for me. Brock is confused, but Bulbasaur nods. I look at Brock, unsure, but Brock doesn't dismiss it and says if I choose Bulbasaur as my next pick, then it's fine. I nod and gulp, and I agree, saying Bulbasaur is my next pick. Bulbasaur runs forward, not afraid from Onyx's ominous towering presence. Onyx swings its tail to hit Bulbasaur, but it swiftly jumps over and uses a Razor, which directly hits Onyx in the face, causing it to roar out in pain. I look surprised. I knew Bulbasaur was strong, but it moves so confidently. I ponder to myself, wondering if this is how Brennan feels. Bulbasaur looks at me and nods, bringing me back. I call for another Razor Leaf, which Bulbasaur complies. Onyx staggers me and uses a Smackdown, pushing Bulbasaur to the ground. I look on worried and calling out, asking if it's okay. Bulbasaur gets up and nods and rushes forward using Vine Whip, which slams into Onyx hard. I smile happy and scream out for a final Razor Leaf, which Bulbasaur shines brightly in the sun and uses it, putting Onyx down for the count. I rush over and hug Bulbasaur, thanking it profusely. It nods and cries out happily. Charmander looks a bit annoyed, but lets it go. Brock smiles and said I did better than he anticipated. He then hands me the Boulder Badge. I beam at it and hold it. Bulbasaur jumping up proudly. I thank Bulbasaur once more, causing it to nod happily. Brennan joins us and congratulates me. Before I get to celebrate properly, Bulbasaur nudges me. I look confused and ask what's wrong. Bulbasaur keeps nudging me. Brock suggests that maybe Bulbasaur wants to take me somewhere. I look surprised and ask if that's the case, which Bulbasaur nods happily. I nod, looking up to thank Brock again. He says his farewells and we all leave. Brennan and I follow Bulbasaur, unsure where it's taking us. We end up making our way outside Pewter and into the forest. After a moment of walking, we arrive at a sanctuary of Bulbasaurs, Ivysaurs, and even Venusaurs. My eyes scan around the field shocked. Charmander is shocked as well, so is Brennan and Riolu. We walk around looking at the calm Pokemon. I thank Bulbasaur for taking us here, saying it's so beautiful. It nods happily. I ask if it lives here, and it smiles and nods. Brennan looks around, wondering which he should challenge to a battle. But all of our thoughts are cut short as a massive bang followed by smoke happens, stunning everyone. That's all for this episode, trainers. Thanks so much for watching. Sorry for the wait, as you can probably imagine these take quite a while to make, but tell me your thoughts respectfully in the comments. Will we see Dave again? What was the big bang? Why did Bulbasaur help me with the gym battle? Once again, thanks for watching. If you want to see what future me is doing, make sure to check out Elite MJ's series, Pokemon Next Generation. Want to get more consistent updates about the channel and series? Join the Discord, pinned comment. That's all, trainers. Stay tuned for the next advanced adventure.